All right. All right here. About time we got this show on the road. Well, good morning, kids, and welcome to another The Abyss. I am, of course, your host, The Eternal Abyss. How is everybody doing? I have my coffee. I hope you have yours too. I know I probably sound like crap. Not my usual microphone because I'm using my Bluetooth one because my other microphone is not hooked up right now. It's in a different location. And I'm not going to go get it right now, so I'm being lazy. So we're going to work with what we got here. Oh, let me turn on my noise suppression filters and all that to make sure I sound a little better so there's less background noise. Hopefully I sound a little clearer now, a little better. How's everybody doing? I want to say hello to everybody that's listening to me on all the various platforms that I am on. I want to say hello to everybody on Bitwave, of course. I also want to say hello to everybody on D Live, on Periscope, on Twitch, and on YouTube, and on Float. Um, I haven't done my little social media rounds here to just make sure that everybody knows that I'm streaming. So I'm gonna do that right now as I'm talking. So if I'm half distracted and pause weirdly or do something like that, don't mind me. I'm just wanting to make sure that I get everything situated the way I should. So, yeah, yesterday, while I'm getting this situated, we could talk a little bit about yesterday. Yesterday, I didn't stream. I had several things going on, and I wasn't able to get on. And most likely Thursday is going to happen again, where I got to be on the road. I, as I mentioned before, I do a decent amount of traveling for my work, so sometimes I'm on the road, and that's how it is. So you gotta do what you gotta do when it comes to that. So, but one of the biggest news items, obviously, is the Trump acquittal that happened at the end of the week there with the vote. I didn't talk about that because that was after the stream, and I was going to talk about it yesterday. Um, so that didn't quite work out in terms of the timing. All right, this should do in terms of what to post. So there we go. Reading that. Um, but yeah, he's two for two. Oh man, it's unbelievable, really, to me. It's really amazing that we are at this point where, I mean, and the thing is this isn't over. That's what I was telling you when it came to like whether they were going to convict or acquit. It didn't really matter because they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep pursuing what they're pursuing. They're going to change the rules. They're going to just do whatever they want to do. And Nancy Pelosi says she's going to do an impeachment, an independent 9/11 style commission on what happened on January 6th. So she's going to continue investigating Trump and persecuting Trump on taxpayer dime. That's the worst part for me. Is like if they want to do this bullshit, let them. I don't care really. But the issue that I have is that they're not using their own funds for this. They're using our funds. They're using my money. That's when I have to do a resounding fuck you. Because if you're going to do something that is obviously political, obviously nobody cares about this. Obviously, your average person isn't isn't interested or doesn't even have a vested interest in this sort of thing. Then this is obviously just political persecution because you want to punish Trump and you want to punish his supporters, and that's what it is. Simple. I mean, it's not any more or less complicated than it really needs to be here. But this is the unfortunate state of politics that we live in this day and age. And I really wish that people could be a little bit more enlightened about this sort of thing, that politicians could really be enlightened about this sort of thing. But then again, we're talking about the same people who claim to follow, quote, the science, and at the same time, they're talking about basically forcing people to not live their lives for another full year or so, up until at minimum the 2022 election. You have people, these are the same people who essentially rigged an election. So when you're dealing with these sort of people, right? I mean, there is no logic or reason behind this. You're not dealing with people that are rational, which is why, in my opinion, there really needs to be now like the behaviors that I've seen. Let me preface this real quick. The behaviors that I've seen from politicians in the past, oh, I don't know what, 10 years? Nah, even further back, honestly. Even further back. You have had such a string of irrational behavior that, in my view, it's a clear indication that there's some sort of mental illness going on. Um, so to me, it would make a lot of sense to have some sort of bipartisan board or something that evaluates these people's fitness for serving, and it evaluates them on multiple levels. Part of it has to be mental health. Part of it has to be that. That's the thing to me. And part of it has to be, it has to be some sort of watchdog organization as well that ensures that these people aren't just abusing their powers to hurt people in politics and outside of politics. I mean, the censure tools that are available within Congress are clearly not enough. They can't police themselves. They made it very clear that they can't police themselves. You need to have, and you're supposed to have checks and balances. That's the thing. You're supposed to have checks and balances within our system, but these checks and balances have been eroded so much over time that our Congress is essentially rogue. Congress is a rogue branch of government. SCOTUS has become more and more rogue as well. And then you have people like Biden saying that he won't even tell you if he's going to pack the courts because he probably will. And he knows that people are against that. And he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna talk about this now. We'll talk about it after I get elected, or after they cheated and they installed that dillweed. Doesn't even know where he is half the time, and that he's signing more executive orders than any president I've ever seen in my life. He's basically like every branch we have, apart from the fact that this is pretty much a dictatorship. Let's just ignore that for the time being. Um, every branch of government has essentially, to certain degrees, have essentially gone rogue in the sense that I don't see any active check or balance happening here any further. I mean, when you have states, when states are acting as the checks and balance, when you have states that are suing the administration for unlawful stuff that they're doing, that speaks volumes to me. It really does. And states are perfectly within their rights to do so. I'm not arguing that. Thanks for the note about Parlor. I saw that from D Live here. I don't know what I want to do with that at this point. My first thought is to just not really be on it anymore. I don't trust it as a platform anymore. I don't think it's a good platform anymore. So I don't know if it's worth my time. No, exactly, Illustrator. They won't police themselves. I don't know. I don't know when. That's an interesting theory. Illustrator is saying he will spend the first 100 days executing order unpopular ideas, and then on day 101 he will be forced out to make way for mystery meat Kamala. Um, at this point, nothing surprises me. They could very well do something like that. I don't know if they will, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do. To be honest with you, just sipping my coffee here. Um, the guy's brain is too dementia ridden. He is too far off mental health wise. I don't think that he's going to last 4 years. That's yeah. I mean, I can understand that logic, Illustrator, where the ideas would be in place, everything would be in place, and her hand, the village whore's hand would be basically clean. So they can't criticize her for acting as a dictator as well. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, this is the thing for me. I can understand that sort of logic, line of thinking, things of that nature. But then the question in my mind is this: these are the same people that cheated to win an election. These are the same people that for 4 years floated the Russia hoax. These are the same people that for I guess 4 years or so, 3 years at minimum, they floated the Very Fine People hoax. These are the same people that spent millions upon millions of dollars with the Mueller investigation that did nothing. And these are the same people that are going to be spending millions and millions of dollars to do another investigation that does nothing. So at the end of the day, I don't believe there's really any reason to worry about that kind of optics. You know, I don't see any real reason for them to be oh so concerned that they want to make sure that her hands look clean because she's part of the same administration and party and cabal anyways. She's her hand is in that cookie jar already, regardless of what he does, what she does, and what everybody does. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that really plays a role or not in this case. I really don't know. Really have no idea. But something like that wouldn't surprise me because I mean, like I said, they cheated. They cheated to get them into office and to get her into office. So these people cheat. That's what they do, and they're going to do whatever they can to stay in power, to be in power, and to give power to whoever they want. That's what was supposed to happen to Hillary in 2016. This whole bullshit that we're seeing now, that was supposed to happen in 2016. It was just like an coronation for Hillary Clinton. Just that nobody expected Trump to come into the fray and to actually perform as well as he did. And speaking of performing, I've seen some polls come out saying that Trump running again, if he ran again in 2000, was it 24? that right now he's on the top of the list for the Republican primaries. He has like 53%, and everybody, I don't think anybody even broke 10. Or what was it? I saw the number. It was like under nobody could get even close to 20% support from conservatives, and he's getting like 54%. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. And honestly, like to me, like you're gonna have a lot of people that are like me who says fuck it. I'm not voting. My vote is meaningless. And do you think if he runs again, they're not gonna try and pull the same shit that they did? Of course they're gonna pull the same shit that they did. They're going to cheat again. They're going to rig the system again because they don't want him to be in power. And then they're going to do the whole thing again. They're going to be nothing but obstructionists. They're going to be investigating him left and right, persecuting his family, persecuting his followers, burning cities down because Orange Man bad. I mean, just think about that for a minute. These people have burned cities to the ground because they wanted Trump to look bad. And I'm not talking about the people that actually like lit the stuff on fire. I'm talking about the mayors, the governors, the senators, the representatives from at the local level to federal. All these people that allowed these cities to be razed to to be just completely demolished, people to get people getting hurt, allow people to get hurt, allow people to get killed basically. Like what happened in Chaz with Mayor Jenny Durkin, the Summer of Love mayor. And you have people like Cuomo who murdered 17,000 seniors. Now this is coming out because they wanted to hurt someone politically. Think about that for a moment. Think about what level of scum, what level of horrible human being you need to be, what level of just boiling, vile shit you have to be as a human being to be okay with destroying entire cities, causing billions, with a B as in boy, billions of dollars worth of damage, destroying people's livelihoods, destroying their lives, their survival, their way to survive. Oh, of course they were aware of it. The media was protecting it. They gave Cuomo a fucking Tony Award because it was the best television drama. I mean, just okay. Frame that for a moment. Frame that for a moment. If this was a real pandemic, if this was a real pandemic where people were dropping like flies, like this was the bubonic plague, if this was a real crisis, a real human crisis, who the fuck puts it in their mind? Oh, this is really great television. We should give an award to this guy. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Noah's Trevor Noah actually said that? Christ, what cringe. Oh my God. You know, I was not the biggest fan of Jon Stewart. I'm the first to admit that Jon Stewart is not exactly my cup of tea all the time. But I will promise you, and I guarantee you, I found Jon Stewart to be a billion times funnier than Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is probably one of the most unfunny hosts of The Daily Show. Cuomo sexual. Noah said he was a Cuomo sexual. What a fucking idiot. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This whole thing was drummed up bullshit. And YouTube, you can ban me or put whatever little notices you want under my videos about the facts of COVID-19. Fuck yourself. Same with Twitter. Anybody can post whatever they want underneath and even ban me. The truth is the truth, though. If this was a real crisis, you wouldn't have this bullshit. You would not. Because back in May, everybody knew what Cuomo was doing. Stephen Colbert is a piece of shit also. He's not funny at all, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything funny about Stephen Colbert. I think he was a horrible replacement for David Letterman on the Tonight Show. And David Letterman was not that funny either, actually, if you actually listen to him earlier on when he first got onto the Tonight Show after wait a minute. It was Jay Leno. Jay Leno replaced Johnny Carson, right? Yeah, yeah. And or am I getting those wrong? I might be getting those wrong. The point is, when David Letterman started, he was weird and quirky, had his own oddball sense of humor, which some people liked. Sometimes I found the sense of humor kind of funny. Other times I didn't understand it at all. It didn't make any sense to me. And it's not that I didn't get it. It's not like his humor went over my head somehow. Yes, yeah, yeah. Jay Leno replaced Carson. That's right. I don't think anybody was as good as Carson though. I mean, I give credit to Jay Leno. Jay Leno is way better than Fallon. Way better than Fallon. The current lineup of late night hosts is just horrible. Oh yeah, Harvey Birdman was funny. I remember watching some of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. See, I think that's where he actually has some good humor and talent is when he's not putting his own politics and his beliefs into stuff. He's just being silly and funny. If he removes the politics out of what he does, I actually think he can be funny because I did enjoy some shows like that. Some of his bits when he was one of the correspondent for um the Daily Show, like one of those fake correspondents. When he was acting as one of those fake correspondents, that to me was a little funnier. Though I've never really that kind of humor has never really appealed to me a whole lot. His style of humor when he was acting as a correspondent. But the point that I'm making it, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like when he puts his own vitriol in there, because it's not funny. See, these people think that just insulting people, they think that just insulting people, denigrating people for their own political purposes and spewing their vitriol and vile hate, that somehow is supposed to be funny. The reason why Dana Carvey, for example, in Saturday Night Live, when he made fun of George Bush Sr., the reason why that was hilariously funny, it was because you didn't really get an indication that Dana Carvey hated the man. There wasn't hate behind what he was doing. He wasn't trying to stick it to George Bush Sr. or insult him at every turn or make him out to be a Hitler or something like that. That's the difference. That's what made Dana Carvey's imitation of George Bush genius and funny. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you don't have that. Yeah, the Colbert Report was always political, but I think it got worse over time. I think initially it was more just like um it was like very much satire and spoofing conservatives, for example. And it was always that. Not that it didn't do that anymore. It's not like it stopped. It was always that. But after a while, it just got worse and worse and worse. Oh, Birdman turned political. Yeah. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem with even animations and cartoons. Everything's political now. You have cartoons promoting shit that cartoons shouldn't be promoting at all. Like they're injecting politics into fucking everything. Yeah. I think that's a sad thing. I think that animations, for example, cartoons like that, even cartoons that are geared for adults. I don't. This is one of my chief complaints. I've said this before when it comes to entertainment is this injection of politics into everything. It's like, can't you just give me some entertainment without having to inject dumb politics into it? But anyways, the point, going back, we kind of digress from the main point here. The main point is that this whole thing is a whole slew of nonsense. I haven't read Doonesbury in a long time because to me, Doonesbury, well, first of all, the guy during the Trump era, he was just a shithead, and I had no reason to like read his shit. I never found Doonesbury to be that funny, anyways. I never enjoyed Doonesbury. I was more of a Calvin and Hobbes guy. I liked Calvin and Hobbes when that was around. I liked um, what's it called? Shoot, what's it called? The Wizard of Id? Is that other one? I don't. I think it's the same guy who does. He wasn't as angry pre-Reagan. I, I don't know. See, that's the problem when you're dealing with politically themed cartoons. I mean, in his case, this is the thing. At least with him, his cartoon has always been kind of politics and news and stuff like that. So in his case, I could yeah, Wizard of Id and BC. Those two I loved as well. I always thought they were funny. But at least in the case of Doonesbury, the one thing that I can say about that is it's like, well, at least he was consistent though. He was always political. His whole comic has always been political. So it's not like there's a big shift in what he was working on. It's not like Jim Davis working on Garfield and all of a sudden Garfield goes, "I hate Republicans" instead of "I hate Mondays." That's the problem that I see in modern media now. It's like you have the equivalent of Garfield, something that's not political, and then all of a sudden you're injecting all this politics into it. And you're injecting identity politics into it. And then you're injecting, social engineering into it. I mean, it's Trudeau used to goof on Jerry Brown's being flighty athlete. Yeah, hey, everybody has their moments. But I also liked a lot. The name always changed over time, but I loved Burke Breed, his work. With um Opus the Penguin and Bill the Cat. Yeah, it's not much. It's not much, but it's something. That's true. Bloom County. Yeah, well, I mean, it started out as Bloom County, but it changed over time. He gave it other names, like it turned into Outland, if I'm not mistaken, and other things like that. But yeah, Bloom County was it was also one of my favorites. I don't know what it was like, and that would actually see, and that's the funny thing about Bloom County, for example. Bloom County, you did have it in politics, but it was so silly. It didn't take one side. It basically criticized everybody when it criticized in political themes, and it just took things to such an absurd level. It was that's what I loved about it. Like when you have them being like a penguin and a cat who has a drug the cat has a drug problem running against George Bush and Dukakis as a third party. Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that's kind of how it went. You know, that's funny you would say same tone. I had never ever thought of Doonesbury and Bloom County to be on the same tone. I've always found Bloom County to be more Bloom County to me, if you compare it to Doonesbury, it's like you have surrealist art in a way versus a more traditional art style. Similar themes, political themes, current events, media, things like that, sure, but Reed just culled the non-fantasy characters and released the Outland. It'd be like American Dad if it only had only the alien, a fish, and nixed all the human characters. I suppose so, but there were human characters there. I was disappointed when he got rid of Steve Dallas. Honestly, I don't know if people read Bloom County a lot, but I did when I was a kid, and there was this one character, his name was Steve Dallas, who was the attorney, the sleazy attorney of the cast of characters, and he was freaking hilarious. He was one of the funniest characters. He wasn't even, I mean, he was a main character for sure. But what they got rid of him after a while. What happened, like in the whole storyline of Bloom County, is like towards the end of Bloom County, he had this whole he was abducted by aliens. His whole personality was reversed. So for a while, he was just not funny anymore because he was this womanizer, smoker, drunk, sleazy attorney, and then he turned into the complete and like far more conservative character, sexist, misogynistic. He was just hilarious as a character. He was such a terrible human being. And then he completely flipped. They completely flipped his personality where he was like the other opposite extreme where he was like basically what you would call an SJW now. Essentially, he was an SJW before SJW was a thing. He was like all effeminate then, in touch with his inner femininity. He gave himself a perm. He what else? I mean, he was all like I don't know, like he was all completely like uber lefty in terms of his characteristics and his personality. Then he stopped the smoking and he stopped being a sleazy attorney and he was like all about these social causes and it was kind of funny, but you know I always missed the old Steve Dallas. Eventually he returned. They brought him back, the old character. He his personality reversed back to the way he was, and then with Outland, he pretty much disappeared. He wasn't even part of the cast anymore. And I always was disappointed in that because I always thought that Steve Dallas was a really funny character because he was such a horrible person and made for good humor. He was a lovable, horrible person. I love those books. Those comics. I have like collections of those comics that I bought over time because I just love them. I don't know nowadays what's happening with that. I know that he brought for a while. Burke Breed had brought back the comic. I have no idea like what the cast of characters looks like now. He was a lawyer Dan from Night Court. Exactly. Exactly. I love that. I love that show Night Court. And I thought Dan was a hilarious character. That's exactly you nailed it right on the head, illustrator. You pretty much nailed it right on the head. That's who he was. And that's why I love the character. Herb Terry, yep. That's right. I didn't watch too much of WKRP. I heard it is a really good show. I've only seen like bits of it, a little bit of it. I should revisit that old show. Sorry, sipping my coffee here. But yeah, moving on here, we kind of digress into the world of comics. But I love those old comics. I mean, comics nowadays, there's not much out there nowadays that would hold my attention. They're not really that good. Pros Before Swine is pretty good. Pros Before Swine, I think, is pretty good. There was this one, what's it called? Liberty Meadows. And Mike's Choppy. It might be, I don't know. Let me turn off my, hold on. Let me turn off the noise suppression. And I think I'm peaking a lot here, so let me actually bring my volume down a bit so I'm not peaking as much. Is that a little better? Okay. Yeah, I think I was just peaking too much. I think my volume was a little bit too high, and I had all these like noise and gate filters in there to make sure I remove background noise. So hopefully this is better. And it is a Bluetooth mic, so if there's any connections or signal interferences, you might catch that. Because I didn't get my wired mic. It's in my car, and I didn't feel like pulling it out and that's actually one topic that I wanted to talk about, is like all these storms that have been happening because it relates to the Green New disaster, right? So what's happened with all these snowstorms and all these things? Do you know that in Texas they had to bring in helicopters made out of fossil fuels, using fossil fuels to function, and use chemicals to de-ice um, these the blades of the wind turbines, because the wind turbines all froze because it was so cold in Texas. Wind turbines froze, and everybody lost their power. You have people freezing, literally freezing to death because going green, putting these wind turbines out there without any sort of regard for what would happen if, I don't know, weather would get bad and things would freeze. You had that in Germany too, because Germany transferred a bunch of their power over to the windmills, wind turbines, windmills, whatever they're called. And this is the Green New Deal. This is the green power that people want to use. Oh no, I think Germany also did a lot with solar panels too. They did a lot with solar panels, and they they transferred so much of their grid onto that if there's any weather conditions that doesn't allow them to really suck in like enough power and conserve it and save it and use it, people are out of power. You have people freezing in cold weather. You have people without any electricity in their home. much less get hot water because you need hot water to I mean if your water heater is electrical, so they got no heat, they got no hot water, their food they don't have food that's going to last them very long because things are going to spoil. But the Green New Deal, right? See, this is the thing for me about that whole stuff. I'm all for conservation. There's no reason to try to just trash our planet. I can jump on that bandwagon to that extent. I'm fine with trying to figure out ways to produce less waste, have less exhaust going into the air. Why don't we explore options that are actually viable then, though? That is my question. Why not, oh, let's say, one of the cleanest forms of energy. Do you know what one of the cleanest forms of energy is out there, kids? Nuclear. That's right. Believe it or not, nuclear is one of the cleanest forms of energy that you can use to make your power plants, for example. And there are ways to mitigate for the radioactivity and all that, because a lot of people they hear nuclear, they freak out over radioactivity. I get that, but there are ways to mitigate for that, and there are ways to take care of that. Now, of course, you're going to have the every so often problem like you had in Japan, where there was the whole, you know, thing with the tsunami, which caused caused problems. That is true that the term conservation has become a moving target, which is why it's not something I use very often. I use that sparingly, and when I use it, I specifically mean like in the case of what I'm talking about now. I think there are ways that these sort of things can be mitigated. Now, see, I used to be of the opinion, and this was something that, when I was in my university days, I was very much on board with with certain things when it came to solar panels, for example. Like, I remember when I was younger, I used to say, it would be great if every house has solar panels. It would be great that the government would give incentives for people to do so. You put solar panels, you get a tax cut. Um, I still think, well, that has become extreme. Yeah, if you toss an empty tin can in the trash in the 70s, you were normal. If you do it today, you're a Nazi. Yeah, the language has really become extreme when it comes to that sort of thing, and that doesn't help. That doesn't ingratiate people to your side of the argument when you're saying you don't do as I say, you're a fucking villain of a comic book. Yeah, moving target. No, I get what you're saying, Illustrator, right? And I agree. No, but what I was saying was, like, I remember when I was a kid, I was on board with stuff like that, and in a way, I kind of still am, but with caveats, because I understand a lot more about the technology now, where I think it's great for people to be off the grid, in the sense that it would be much better for me to generate my own electricity, or at least a percentile of my electricity would be good to be produced by myself, so I don't have to depend on the monopolies of the power companies. None of these whatever Edisons that if these companies that there's no option. Essentially, there's really no option. You go to a city, that's the power grid that you're going to have to hook into, and that's the company that you're going to go into. There's no way to really save money on that. And there's no way that there's competition. And if the power goes out, you're screwed. See, it would make more sense to me. It would make more sense to me than that you should be able to have some sort of independence from that. And there are these materials and there are these tools available to you that you can use to kind of generate your own electricity and try and get off the grid. And I have no illusions in my head about where solar panels come from and where wind turbines come from, or where these windmills come from. They all come from fossil fuels, from manufacturing processes. So I'm not looking at it um, from a like oh, if everybody has solar panels, you're going to have less pollution. Because really, the problem isn't that. To me, it's more of a political reasoning and a more of a pragmatic reasoning in the sense of I don't want government in my business, and I'd rather be as much off the grid as I can. I relish privacy, and I prefer that people are independent. Yeah, fuck paper straws. I'm just going to say that. Fuck paper straws. The manufacturer of paper straws actually produce more waste, by the way. I read articles about this that the manufacturer of paper straws actually produce more waste, and on top of that, they make your drink taste like garbage. If I'm drinking something through a straw, I'm tasting paper. That cannot be healthy for me. I'm drinking paper. How is that healthy for me? Get plastic straws at the Dollar Tree and keep them in the glove compartment. Actually, I just drink from the glass. If someone gives me, if I'm at a restaurant and they give me a paper straw, I just drink from the glass. How about you just don't give me a straw? Coffee cups don't need straws. When you get a coffee, you have the lid with the little spout so you can just drink from it. Why don't we just do that? The Chinese. Well, honestly, they're the one of the largest producers of pollution in the world. Their manufacturing processes have such low requirements for cleaning up after themselves, essentially. Oh, yeah, most of the stuff in the dollar store probably is. It probably is, yeah. No, but here, see, that's the thing for me is like there's online people are like, oh, people are talking now about the Green New Deal again because it's brought up this issue with the frozen wind turbines, basically windmills, that if you depend on energy sources, energy creation sources like that, you're essentially screwed in situations like this. And this is where it really matters. That's the thing. Day to day, if you lose some electricity during nice weather, during the summer, no big deal, you know, that's fine. You can survive that, no problem. You lose power now when you're like if you're in especially if you're in states that are close to Canada and you hit the 0 degrees or the -0 degrees, you're basically putting your life at risk. Well, the problem is though, like I've heard politicians and pundits talk about that sort of thing. The problem is that these people are they have such blinders on that even if you show them that the paper straws, for example, as just a simple example, if you show them that how ridiculous that is as an idea, or like the removal of plastic bags from supermarkets, for example, where now you have much more elaborate manufacturing processes. You're not recycling these plastic bags. There's a lot of people who are just recycling the little plastic bags too, or reusing them in a certain way. They weren't just tossing them out when they were done. I don't think I know anybody. I don't know anybody who goes to the supermarket, gets a plastic bag, and then doesn't even use it. Like when they're done with it, they just throw it out. You have to kill trees to make paper bags, yes, and you make fat to make the reusable bags. If you make reusable bags, there's a whole manufacturing process for that, which is far more elaborate and produces much more waste. Steven Crowder had a great video about this when this whole controversy came up about paper straws and plastic bags. Steven Crowder put a lot of information out there, and he's always good about adding sources. That's why I talk a lot of times I refer to him because I don't. He has a team of people that can actually do research and put resources and links together. I'm just me. I don't have all this time to just put together that kind of stuff. But another interesting note about reusable bags is that people don't wash them. So now you're using not only reusable bags that produce more pollution to make, you actually have bacteria and shit growing in your bag. Especially if you're using them for like meats. So now you're putting your own health at risk. And like I said, I understand wanting to ensure that the world is a clean place. I understand you want clean water, clean air. You don't want to have, three-eyed fishes like you have in The Simpsons. I understand that. And there's no arguments there. It's not like the argument has never been, the argument has never been someone saying, I want clean water, and someone on the other side going, no, I want my water to be glowing in the middle of the night. I want to be able to see my sources of water from space. Like, no, 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 nobody argues that. Nobody says that. It's just that these solutions that are proposed on one side, like the Green New Deal, are absolutely idiotic proposals that don't really resolve the issue. And all you're doing is trying to control people's lives. And it's virtue signaling. Like if you tell people, oh, you're a horrible person because you eat meat and there's so many cows that are being, raised and slaughtered for meat, and their flatulence is so much that we have an extreme buildup of methane in the air now because we have so many cows passing gas, basically. Uh, you know, yeah, it is a perpetual can you top this? It's a game of how stupid can you get? And the problem is there's always a next level. That's the thing, there's no end. There is no end to that game. That's the scary part. And the scary part is that not only that, the other even more scary part is that you have people that take that serious. That they seriously believe the stupid stuff that they're saying. People like ALC. That is like scary as shit when you listen to someone like her and you're like, she can't really believe what she's saying. She can't really believe it. It's impossible. Nobody can be that stupid. Nobody can be that idiotic. Nobody can be that brainwashed. Yes, yeah. I don't recall that specifically. I didn't know Sheryl Crow and Lori David said something like that. Wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, if these people were very serious, let's put it this way, if these people were really serious about the environment, like Sheryl Crow and Lori David, and even AOC, people like that, then if you really don't want to waste toilet paper and use toilet paper, do what people used to do back in the day. Do you know what people used to do back in the day? They had a bidet, or they would just wash themselves after going to the bathroom, or they had cloth. They used cloth and then they washed the cloth. Toilet paper has not existed forever. There was a point in time when humanity did not have toilet paper, and they had to figure out how to clean themselves off in different ways. Plants, leaves, whatever. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for the link. I wasn't aware they said stuff like that. But I mean, the point is this. The point being to me is like, A, it is not your call to tell me how much toilet paper I need to use. Two, prove to me that you're doing that first. I want them to prove to me that they are doing what they're telling other people to do. And if they do it, then I can at least say, okay, at least they're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. So I can take that more serious. But if they just go about pontificating, saying you should do that, and you should do this, and you should do this other thing, like Greta Thunberg, and then she's in a Winnebago made out of all sorts of fossil fuel materials and petroleum based materials and the whole manufacturing process, and it's not I don't think it was a green camper. And then even though she was on her little green boat, her crew flew back home when she was sailing in the ocean or whatever. Her entire crew and posse, they didn't follow any of what she was talking about. So, I mean, that's where it really gets me. It's the hypocrisy. Part two of the reveal? What reveal? What are we talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I am unsure I'm following at this point. No, but I mean that's the biggest thing. There's a ginormous amount of hypocrisy on the side of these environmentalists and politicians. Oh, that wasn't for me. Okay. Sorry, I had no idea. I saw it in my chat, so I was confused. Um, there is a enormous amount of hypocrisy, and it's like was Leonardo DiCaprio was talking about, oh, climate change, and then he's on like a private jet to go to get this award for all the work he's done for climate change or something like that. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's idiotic. It's idiotic. You want to put yourself forward as someone who's for the environment. Don't use a private jet. Al Gore, same thing. John Kerry, he's like, well, I'm me. I got to go around doing this work, so I got to use a private plane. I can't be in there with the plebs. I can't use common airlines. I can't go economy because I'm me. He was basically saying that I'm me. I got to do this work, so it's perfectly okay for me to be an asshole and hypocrite because I have this noble work that I'm doing. I mean, it's the epitome of being such a freaking hypocrite and self-righteous that you think that just because you're doing something noble that excludes you from what you are trying to like work on or your cause in general. I mean, I don't even know what to think at a certain point. Like I don't understand how a person can reach that level. It's beyond me. It really is beyond me. I would think that people are a little bit smarter than that. Hey, Cocaine Mitch, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the stream. The majority, Cocaine Mitch is saying the majority of retards who cry for environment will knock down 2 acres of forest to build their house. Fuck them. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. How's the Bitwave baby? Doing all right? Hope everything's going well. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They will crucify you if you use like a plastic straw, but they don't realize that all the stuff that they're doing, 18 months old. Wow. Getting older, getting big. Not far from that. Not far from that 2-year-old mark, huh? Yeah, private just for me, but not for thee. That's what it is. It's like it's this self-righteous hypocritical bullshit. She could be 6'3", 6'4". Holy, you could get her to go to the NBA. Dang, are there a lot of tall people in your family? Like, is that like average height? I mean, because I don't know. Depending on your ethnic makeup, you could be like, if you're from Norway, those people are all like 7 feet. They're giants. So I don't know. Goodness me. Hmm. Hey, you never know. You never know. Ah, okay. Hey, Faust. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, genetics are always kind of weird that way. There's always outliers. You're actually talking about the original Super Mario Brothers? Skyward. Oh, Super Mario. What Super Mario Brother are you talking about? Okay, Super Mario Brothers 3. Yeah. Um, level 5? World 5. That's the giant land, isn't it? No warps. Oh man. I missed that's one of the best Nintendo games. I have to say, like Super Mario Brothers 3 is one of the best ones. And I've done that before. I played through the entire thing, no warps, no nothing. 4 is Giant Land. You're right. You are right. Yes, 4 is Giant Land and 5 is Skyland. I never beat Super Mario World. That was always I don't know. It felt different to me after being so used to Super Mario Brothers 3. I played that for like so long. Went to Super Mario World. It feels awkward for me, I guess. I never really mastered the feel of it and the controls or everything like that. And then there's always that thing. See, Super Mario World, the thing for me about Super Mario World is that you have to keep going back to redo the worlds. Oh, Brutal Mario World. I've heard of that one. Yeah. I should do some gaming on my streams. I just don't know what games to play. That's the problem. Because I like retro games, but there's some modern games that I like to play as well, and I don't know. I never know what game would be entertaining. Oh no, derail away, cocaine, Mitch is fine. I don't mind the derailing. It's part of the stream's charm, I think, at this point. No, but basically, like the other thing that's coming out right now in the news, that's in my title of the stream that I should be talking about is this whole thing with Comey and Oprah, and they're all pieces of shit, basically. Mario 64 is fun. Mario 64 is very fun. We are a gaming site. Yes. Indeed, indeed. No, but like Comey, more stuff there's more emails and more information coming out about Comey, about him using the Steele dossier and all that bullshit. Because everybody knows what Comey did was bullshit. Everybody knows that he's basically what like Edgar J. Hoover tried to do to destroy Kennedy. He tried to do the same thing with Trump. Comey is an absolute piece of shit. He should be indicted and he should be investigated for what he did. And you have people protecting him and shielding him. He's basically like he's such a piece of shit. Oh, the Durham report. I completely even forgot about that. I complete I that completely slipped my mind. I completely forgot that stupid thing was even on its way. Because oh, God forbid they would have put it out, when they were supposed to. No, 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 no. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. And then you also have like, yeah, Oprah is gonna do this interview with Meghan Markle and the ex royals or the royal morons in my view. Um, and they're saying, oh, nothing is off limits. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be such a hard-hitting interview when all the questions are going to be pre-screened. And you know, Oprah promoted, protected, and was buddy, buddy, buddy with Weinstein. And I'm sure she's going to really dig in there for some dirt. Yeah, please give me a break. These people, the Markle, what they call them in England, they call them ginge and cringe. Yeah, I'm sure Ginge and Cringe, this is to me like a desperate cry for attention. Like they become so irrelevant since they lost all their, royal accolades and connections that they're just trying to drum up interest in themselves at this point. So I have no faith that Oprah would do anything remotely interesting with this interview. She's just gonna lick their asses the whole time, as she usually does for those kind of interviews. I've never heard of Oprah being hard hitting in any shape, way, or form. Never have been. So I doubt it's going to be anything interesting at all. I'll keep my ear on the ground to see if there's anything interesting that comes out of it, like little clips or whatever. But for the most part, I'm not even going to watch it. It's going to be a waste of time. Why bother? You can't go wrong with zombies and firearms. For games, yeah, those. You know what's a good game? What's a great, 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 great game? I love Left 4 Dead. The Left 4 Dead games, like especially Left 4 Dead 2. Uh, I don't know why. It's just really, really fun. Oh, she's definitely soft television. Oprah is definitely soft television. That's why I was joking on my tweet when I was promoting this particular stream and I said we're live, like we're live, you're live, everybody's live. That usual joke about Oprah, yeah, same thing. Nah, she's not really an investigative journalist. So whatever. I don't know. To me, I, I don't see why. I've never understood her popularity, to be honest. I mean, I get it. It's a housewife kind of thing. People staying home watching TV and those daytime talk shows. I kind of get that. I guess I've never been a fan of that kind of stuff. Like I don't understand the appeal. I don't understand the appeal of shows like Ellen DeGeneres' show, like the Ellen Show and Oprah and back in the day Ricky Lake, stuff like that. But at least with Ricky Lake and with oh, what's his face? Oh gosh, I'm completely drawing a blank. Jerry Springer. At least with like Ricky Lake and Jerry Springer, you got a lot of trash. You had these train wreck episodes and stuff, especially Jerry Springer is like, well, at least there's that entertainment value of seeing like a complete train wreck happen on your TV. At least there's that. That's like the precursor to YouTube, basically. Before YouTube became the shit that it is now, thanks to Google. So, you know, I heard about that. I heard about Purdue wanting to go up against Warnick, whatever his name is. The whole Georgia election was rigged, anyways. They did the same rigging that they did on the national elections. So, um, I I don't know much about Purdue. Well, he is a putz. Well, see, the problem is this, Cocaine, or Mitch. I'll just call you Mitch. The problem with the current political atmosphere that we're in now, at least for someone like me, I can't speak for every conservative and I can't speak for every registered Republican. I'm not a registered Republican, for example. I never have been. I never will be. Well, McConnell's a piece of shit, frankly. All Republicans are traitors, and all Republicans are pieces of shit. What happened on January 6th made it clear to me, made it crystal clear to me, that Republicans and Democrats, there's not really a difference between them anymore. I kind of knew this already. Well, I'm not. I'm not. I've never been a Republican. I've never been a registered Republican. They're all pieces of shit. Well, I'm not voting. That's really what's going to boil down to. You're going to have a percentile of people like me who views the Democrats and Republicans as the same now. They're all traitors to this country. They installed a dictator against the will of the people. They perpetuated a fraudulent election. Nobody seems to give a shit about it. And I have no reason at all to vote for any of these putzes. If you have an R at the end of your name and you're running, you're not getting my vote. Ted Cruz, he threw Trump under the bus. All these Republicans are just looking out for themselves. No, I'm not voting anything anymore. When my vote doesn't matter anymore, there's no reason for me to participate in it. Well, I have no reason to participate in a rigged game. If I'm playing a game, like I was actually using this metaphor with someone. I was having this sort of discussion with a person I know, and off stream, and I was having this very same discussion, and they were like, "Well, you're not doing anything but hurting yourself at the end of the day." I'm like, I don't see how I'm hurting myself because, well, clearly my vote doesn't matter because if my vote mattered, there would be a clear audit of this election. Huh? Bob Dole, 2024. Yeah, no. Well, it back then, yeah. That was the last time. That's the last time I feel my vote actually made any sort of real impact or difference. Takashi 69. Who's Takashi 69? No, see, this was the metaphor or at least analogy, one or the other, that I thought about when I was having this discussion about whether voting matters or whether I should participate or not. So I remember going to the arcade when I was a kid, like most kids do. Oh, okay. But anyways, going back to my little story here, let me tell you guys this little story, or at least this analogy that I'm trying to make. When I was a kid, I would go to the arcade, right, and I would go and see these games. I would play the games, pop quarters in, and play, right, like any other kid. And you knew you knew that these games were basically designed to suck your quarters in, right? Because that's what the companies wanted to make money off of kids. So they make these games, they would design them in a way that it would suck the kids in and that you would just keep popping the quarters in. However, Some game companies, some game companies were more conscientious of the fact that if you give kids that are playing enough of a fair chance, they will keep putting the quarters in, they will get better at the game. You will you will have less quarters per person, in the sense that if I get so good that I only use 1 quarter per game, then I can go play the game, beat it, and have that kind of sense of satisfaction. And I may not put 20 quarters in that day, but guess what? I'm going to go and play that game every day now because I enjoy it so much. I'm good at it, and I want to go and beat the game, for example. It's a balancing act. Gaming companies like Capcom or whatever, whoever made certain games, should have made games in that fashion where it's challenging, it's difficult. There's a fair playing field, though. They give you a fair chance to win. Yeah, that's bullshit, actually, cocaine. I remember that. Yeah, if you beat the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, you'd have to put in another quarter if you wanted to go around again. That is bullshit, and I will call out that bullshit. Exactly. No, but my point is this. There were arcade games, though. Yeah, I would say game over. I know, that sucked. That pissed me off when I was a kid. But anyways, my point is this. I played certain arcade games that they gave you a fair chance. I didn't necessarily beat the game, but at least I was given a fair chance. I got my money's worth. I put my quarter in. I played. I tried to do what I could. I tried to win, and if I won it, great. If I didn't, I didn't. And at least I felt that the playing field was even. I felt that there was a level of fairness, even though some of the bosses were assholes, and there was no way to dodge some of the damage you can get from them or even lose a life. But still, at least, at least, it was possible to beat the game on 1 quarter. What we have here in the election is what you have in the equivalent of an arcade game, where the game is designed in a way that there's no possible freaking way you're going to win it on 1 quarter, no matter how good you are. That is the bullshit that I'm talking about. When you have a game that is obviously so skewed in the favor of the game, and that's and not and it doesn't give me any chance, there is no reason for me to even put my quarter in that machine. That's what it boils down to. Yes, Konami had that method. That's true. That after you went through this whole like this it was basically a final endurance round for many of their games. You had to go through this crazy endurance round, and then finally you could go through again. Yeah, but see those games gave you a chance. They gave you a chance. They gave you an opportunity to actually go through it. You could get good enough. You could beat it on one quarter eventually. And those games to me were the most fun because even though they were difficult, you could still, with enough effort, go through it. And that's how I feel about the election. It's like, well, if you don't give me a fair playing field, there is absolutely no reason why I need to participate in that. Well, that's what I relate to because I played video games when I was a kid. I'm not saying it's the best analogy ever. I'm just saying, though, that it fits, if you know what I mean. But the same analogy could be used in sports. The same analogy could be used in anything. I don't remember. I think so. I think that the Simpsons arcade ended at the end too. Yeah, there's that. There is that, Cocaine Mitch. You do have the Supreme Court's going to be hearing. There's like 30 cases going up through the ranks right now. So Even if they find fraud, at this point, it's pointless. And I don't even know if they even would admit to it anyways. That even if they do find fraud, they may just say, "No, it's just bullshit," or they're gonna make ridiculous claims like, "Oh, it may have not. It's moot at this point." A lot of these things are now moot. There's like really no point in arguing all this stuff when you have a dictator in power. That's where we're at right now. I don't see the point of even going through wasting this taxpayer money at this point. They kind of are because what's going to happen? Okay, let's go through some scenarios. So we go to the Supreme Court, bullshit happens, and they say, "Oh, Biden's election was legitimate." Okay, so they said the court's going to say it's legitimate, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's real evidence to show that. On the other side, there's that. Well, if they find that there is evidence of fraud, they're not going to tell people, or if they tell people, they're going to say, well, like there's evidence of fraud, but it wasn't enough to change the results, or there's evidence of fraud, but we're not going to talk about it because we don't want people to get all riled up. So you're going to get into a dumb catch-22 situation where, on one side, if there is fraud and it is declared, nothing's going to happen to this administration. To this, it's not an administration. Nothing's going to happen to this dictatorship. So, well, the electoral college voted for him fraudulently and illegally. The electoral college voted for him illegally. Yeah. Well, but that's technically fraud, anyways, Mitch. Yeah, I mean they basically changed the rules illegally, so all those votes that came in as a result of the laws changed should not have been counted. But at this point, actually, no, they're not supposed to vote for whoever they want. The electoral college is supposed to vote in line with what the people voted. If the people voted for Trump, the electoral college needs to be sent. The electors are when they certify the election and they send these electors over to D.C., they have to vote with what the people voted. They can't contradict the people's vote. Otherwise, you don't have a representative, a representative government anymore. You don't have a republic anymore. You don't have a government that's for the people anymore and by the people anymore. So that's the problem that we have. Our election system now is intrinsically broken at this point, which is why I have no reason to participate in this bullshit anymore. That's where we're at. And I know I'm not alone in this. There's plenty of people that are not going to participate anymore. You're going to have a big drop in voter participation. I've talked about this before. You're going to have a drop in voter participation. Is it going to be a giant, huge number that's going to make a major impact on the election? I don't know. But you're definitely going to have a drop. You're going to have you're going to have people who, even if they do vote, they're going to be very, very disappointed with the parties that supposedly represent them. I personally, like, if Trump runs again, I don't think Trump should run again. I really don't think that's a good idea. He should be more like kingmaker at this point if he wants to be involved in politics. I don't think he should put his name on the ballot at all. I really don't. I agree, Cocaine Mitch. The midterms are going to be midterms even next year. The midterms are not going to be easy for Republicans. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. For the most part, states do require that you follow the vote. I thought it was most states. I thought it was most states require that you have to follow. I mean, you can't just vote against what the people voted because that doesn't even make sense, to be honest with you. Okay, 50-50. Yeah. All right. Well, honestly, I think that the electors should reflect. I think that the electors should be reflecting what the people voted for. Who's lost it? No, I don't think Trump should run. I don't think Trump should run because if you think that they did fraud this time to prevent him from winning, you won't even imagine the bullshit that they're going to do next time. Not that it really matters because the election is all fucked up anyways. There is no reason for me to believe that any election moving forward is legitimate in any way. DeSantis is half decent. I don't know about Hawley. Oh, Nikki Haley's garbage. I have no reason. She may they may force that sort of nomination. The Republicans may start doing what the Democrats do now, because they know that they lost their base, or at least a lot of their base. They've lost a lot of their base. I promise you that. You also have never Trumpers that are trying to form their own third party, and you have some people that are forming a Patriot Party, which Trump distanced himself from. And then Trump was a fucking idiot himself, and he decided to kiss the ring of McCarthy to try and help Republicans in the midterms. Midterms. So Trump went and kissed the ring of those that stabbed him in the back and twisted the knife. I'm sorry, he's retarded. Why on God's earth would you do that? Doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's gonna be amazingly retarded. Andrew Yang being the mayor of New York. As if De Blasio wasn't bad enough, you're gonna get a moron like Andrew Yang in there. And New Yorkers are probably gonna vote his stupid ass in there because I don't understand the logic that they have. Oh, it could get worse. It could get worse if you have people like Andrew Yang who doesn't understand basic economics and wants to do like a UBI. Um, no, it's gonna get much worse. De Blasio is a piece of garbage. Yang is even stupider. He wouldn't even know what to fix and how to fix it. The guy has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to governing. That's why he had the only ground he had. Don't say that, Cocaine Mitch, because New York will do something like that. New York City, New York City and California are basically the experimentation grounds for the most leftist socialist policies you can imagine. New York City, the reason why New York City taxes and California taxes are so insanely high is because of that reason. They do shit like that. They will do a UBI eventually. They will do free healthcare eventually. So I wouldn't put it past them to eventually do that. They already put in policies that are completely antithetical to the betterment of the city, of the state, and of the Constitution. So, like, I can give you a clear example of how ridiculous New York is, for example. Let's take an example. So, New York has this policy. They put this policy in place where um, their goal is to have zero, I don't remember the exact name of it. I'm not going to run for office. I have no interest in getting into that world of politics. I'd rather have the solutions and have the answers and give them via doing something like this. I'd rather be a pundit and talk than be involved in politics. Because politics, it's all a rigged, game. There's no reason for me to participate in that. But anyways, the point that I was making about New York City, let me give you an example. So New York City has this zero policy now, that zero goal policy of they want to make it so nobody gets hit by cars anymore if you're a pedestrian, right? And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I mean, I think that is a good goal. You don't want taxis running over kids and elderly people. Fine. Okay? So, however, the interesting thing is this. So, when looking into this, you learn a little bit about the history of where this came from, who are the advocates for it. And you had this one person who their son their son got hit by a taxi, tragically passed away, and it's a horrible thing. This woman, the mother of this child that got hit by a taxi and died, she worked in the in the equivalent of the Justice Department of New York City, if I'm not mistaken. She had direct connections to De Blasio. Oh, we do have a Biden. There it is. It's yeah. It's malarkey. Um, so she basically was a staunch advocate for this sort of zero tolerance policy towards people that if you hit someone, she wanted to completely change the process for prosecuting these people and investigating things because of the experience that she had, right, with her son. Well, the problem though is this. They changed the laws. They put new policies in New York City. I don't know the legalities of this. I don't know how legal this is for them to do this because it flies in the face of the American justice system. But this is what happens. So in New York City now, I am on Bitrave, sir, with the R as in rabbit. I haven't used the Bitwave server in a long time. I usually stick my stream into the Bitrave server. um, but this is what happens in New York City now. So let's say you're driving and you happen to hit someone for any reason. The reason could be your fault. The reason could be someone just jumped in front of your car. Well, guess what happens? You are assumed guilty. You are assumed guilty. Your license is suspended, especially if you have a commercial license. This especially applies to Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and things like this. Your license is immediately suspended, pending the investigation. You're assumed guilty no matter what, though, at the end of the day, because even if someone jumps in front of your car, If you, for any reason, happen to not be following any, like, if you were going 1 mile per hour above the speed limit, and this person jumps in front of your car, you are the culpable one. You're going to lose your license. You're going to have fines and maybe even jail time because you happen to be speeding by 1 mile per hour. If you followed every single law to the T, then maybe you're not found guilty. But you probably will still face a fine, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too. That's probably the only circumstance where you will get your license back after the investigation and everything, if you happen to have followed every single law that you had to follow when it came to driving. You followed the speed limit, you had your seatbelt on, you did everything right. You'll get your license plate back, but only after they like suspend it for a period of time, because the assumption is you were guilty. So you're guilty until proven innocent in that case, which is a complete flip of our justice system. And that's what I mean about New York City. They don't give a shit about the laws. So to me, it's not a stretch that if someone like Andrew Yang went into the city and became mayor, that he would do shit like that. He would do a UBI. He would do other stuff because they don't care about the law. They don't care about our justice system. Nobody does. Oh, really? I have no idea. Usually bitrate is the more stable one for me. I don't know. We have to get Dispatch on that. I haven't seen Dispatch on stream in like forever. I mean, does he even visit his own website anymore? I don't even know. I, I have no idea. Yeah, I remember Guntwave. I don't remember the last time I saw Dispatch on his website in any of the like on any channel. I don't. Yeah, what happened to Mom Patch? I enjoyed having Mom Patch on my streams. It was fun. That's a shame. No, but anyways, that's what I mean about New York City. New York City, and the thing is this, like I was saying, the goal may be a noble goal. The goal may be like we don't want people to get hit by cars anymore. There's no arguments against that. Nobody's saying people should be run over. But at the same time, it's like just because you have a noble goal, that doesn't mean you can just throw away people's rights. And you could just tell our entire justice system go fuck yourself because you want people to be assumed guilty before and they have to prove their innocence. That's not how it's supposed to work here. And as much as I feel for this mother who lost her child, that doesn't give her a right to infringe on people's rights and screw around with the justice system because she suffered the loss. Working on a new Omega Wave extension. Well, in the direction this website is going, he may actually need to do something like that. But that's what I'm talking about when it comes to places like California or New York. There's this disregard. There's this disregard for the law, disregard for the justice system, disregard for logic and reasoning because you have this end goal and the ends justify the means, no matter how horrible those means are. And I don't agree with that. I am of the belief that you have a noble goal. Let's try and reach that in a noble way. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, is the saying, and it rings true in many cases. And it's an unfortunate reality with politicians and such where they don't give a rat's ass as long as they reach their goals and they get the money that they want to get and the power that they want to have. Well, he may survive it. He may survive it, but I don't know. I don't know. I just find it funny. I find it funny. The mail-in balloting is now allowed in a recall election. Well, I would love to see the recall go through. Grinnell said he wants to run against him. I don't know if it's official at this point, but Grinnell said that he wants to run against Newsom. Yeah, Newsom is saying that signatures have to be verified. He wants voter ID for his recall. Yeah, that's right. It's so dumb. And now you have California, the California like some governing body in California. They're saying because people were criticizing California for that. They're saying, "Oh, wait a minute. You want signature verification and voter ID for a recall, but you don't want it for the general election? You're okay with mail-in ballots?" And they are claiming that they did signature verification for the election. They're like, oh, 94% of all the votes, the signature verification didn't happen for that. Is that so? Because my recollection is that that didn't happen. But California doesn't really matter because California always goes blue no matter what. But I do find that hilarious that they're making a big stink about signature verification when it comes to his recall, though. But when people were calling for some integrity in the election, they're being criticized for it in the general election. The hypocrisy is mind-boggling. It is stunning. And I'm not making a claim that California didn't do signature verification for their mail-in ballots. I don't know what they did. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, that's right. Schwarzenegger did win the governorship of California through a recall election. So I think that Newsom has a chance of really losing here and being removed from office. And I think that they should do that for other people as well. They should do that for Cuomo. They should do that for Governor Whitmer of Michigan. They should do that for the governor. I don't remember his name, but the governor of Pennsylvania. Um, Gary Coleman ran too. Yeah, that was the year that like everybody ran in California. Yeah, I remember that. That was hilarious, and like everybody and their cousin was running in California. I was laughing my ass off on that one. Gary Coleman of all people. I don't know. Maybe Gary Coleman could have been a better governor than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have no idea. Governor Davis got recalled for a lot less than Newsom. Yeah, Newsom should have been recalled a long time ago. Newsom has been a horrible governor for California. He has been really, 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 really bad. Oh, but I'm bummed. Gary Coleman ran for governor but came up short. Womp womp. That's a terrible joke, illustrator. That is bad, 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 but funny, funny. Um, yeah, that was a fun election, wasn't it? I remember that. That was like every other day, a new person was throwing their hat into the ring, and it was really hilarious. It was really, really funny. But yeah, I do hope that it goes through. I would love to see Newsom deposed as governor because he has been an absolute disaster. So he's been an absolute horrible, horrible disaster for California. And there are a lot of people that are unhappy with him. And I feel that it would be good for him to be pulled as governor. And I think California, I think California deserves better leadership. They have been under the thumb of Democrats for a long, long, long time, and the state has gone to shit essentially. Like the pricing to live there is impossible. People have been leaving California in droves. New York's the same situation. They could have had the ugly chick from Sex and the City as the governor, but no, they voted for Cuomo again. Yeah, but honestly, she was even worse. I mean, between Cuomo and her, both of them were complete disasters. Cuomo should not have won. He should not have been governor again, anyways. I, I don't know if Cuomo's going to get impeached. What are you, Jay Disco Pedo? I don't. Who are you talking about? I don't know if Cuomo's going to even be punished for that. Well, she definitely should have won the primary, I think. Well, you know what? I don't know if she would have lost the general, to be honest with you, because New York is so left-leaning that it doesn't. It's kind of like what Pelosi said about AOC. It really doesn't matter who's running at the end of the day, as long as you have a D at the end of your name. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Cocaine Mitch. Anybody with a D is it's not guaranteed. When it comes to New York governorship and mayorship and things like that. Um, I mean, because you had Rudy Giuliani as a mayor. Republicans can win. You just have to have you just have to have the right person run, and you have to have the right effort put into it. And I think that's the problem with Republicans is Republicans just never really put in a real effort to try and flip the state and flip the cities because the only thing about New York that's really, really liberal is Albany and New York City and a bit of Long Island. But for the most part, the rest of the state is not that left leaning. They're more kind of centrist, and there's a lot of counties out in the non-urban areas that are very much more conservative. DC is in the ruins. We're under it's a military fortress right now, under a dictatorship. Yeah, Cuomo is like a narcissist. It's amazing what a piece of shit he is. Well, I mean, still, it named it after his family. It's after his family, his father. It's not after himself personally, no, but he's definitely still a narcissist and he's a piece of shit. He's a murderer. He should be indicted for every single death that happened in nursing homes. Well, regardless, I mean, yeah, the tolls in New York City are amazingly retarded too. The tolls are just dumb, absolutely dumb. Anyways, I mean, the point being here is that no matter what, at the end of the day, the lesson that I've learned when it comes to politics here and elections is that it's all rigged. Doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to avoid tolls now getting into the city. At this point, I don't think there is any way. Yeah, Cuomo by far is the worst governor. because he murdered 17,000 people, stealing laptops and candy. What you mean? What, those that went into the Capitol building? That whole thing is bullshit. Nobody ever went in there with any intention to do anything. If people really wanted to do an insurrection, if people really wanted to like topple the government, you wouldn't go in there without any arms. You wouldn't go in there unarmed, and you wouldn't just leave when the so-called leader of your resistance and insurgents would say, "All right, go home," and everybody's like, "Okay." So yeah, this whole fake insurrection bullshit is nonsense. Really? You were selling my friend stormed the Capitol, and all I got was this lousy button on Etsy. Yeah, that's funny. All right. Well, I mean, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like we kind of digressed into a rabbit hole here. But I don't know. To me, Newsom should be recalled. I really wish it would go through. I hope it does. We'll see what happens with that. Cuomo should be recalled, and he should just be impeached, and he should be arrested for his crimes. We need to start view botting these streams to BTFO the Omegle Crown. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's I don't even know what time I should be streaming anymore because no matter what time I'm streaming, there's always some Omegle dimwit on there. Like there's either Gypsy Crusader or that comedy TJ guy, and there's that bot stream of that one guy. What's his name? Menendez something or some other. I don't even know. I don't know who these people are. But there's always some Omegle shit happening on Bitwave now, and I've been gone for a while, so I know that my viewership isn't what it used to be. Not that I had a huge viewership anyways, but I know that I definitely got a cut in my viewership because of that, because I was gone for over a month. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you don't really see a lot of the old folks back on stream anymore. I don't know what happened. Like I'm gone for a month. Next thing I know, Bitwave is just all Omegle shit or Meagle, Omegle. I don't even know how it's pronounced. I have no fucking clue. So outside of Pugner, we may be the oldest fags left streaming. Probably, probably. Oh boy, that's right, Blackwave. Uh-huh. Nazis are passe. I suppose so. I don't know. But anyways, kids, it's about lunchtime here. I gotta go grab some grub and eat here, and I gotta get on with my day. Like I said at the beginning of my stream, Thursday, most likely I won't be able to stream because I gotta be on the road driving around doing shit. So I won't be able to do that. So I'm gonna take off here, kids. As always, remember, don't be complacent. I will see you guys tomorrow, and that's it. Take it easy. Oh, actually, before I go, remember, follow on all those platforms that I'm on. Share, share, share. And if you want to support me, buy me a coffee or send me some crypto, whatever you want to do. I appreciate that. But really, growing my audience is the best thing you guys can do for me. So follow, 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 share, 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 and tell people I need more followers, I need more shares, I need more growth in all the social media. because the big tech man is trying to keep me down. I need your help. So if you can help me, great. I appreciate it. So have a good day, everybody. Don't be complacent. We'll talk to you tomorrow.